What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Manny Pacquiao is slated to return to the ring in March or April. And the two opponents being mentioned are Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia. So that's the two opponents that will most likely be stepping in the ring to fight Manny Pacquiao. He defends his WBA and WBO welterweight titles. I think the more likely date of the two is going to be April. I don't think they're going to do that fight in March. You know, you have March Madness with the NCAA basketball tournament that gets a lot of high ratings, a lot of publicity. I don't think it would be preferable for them to stage that fight in March. I think the best date will be April. That would be the best date for that fight. It'll be a month before Canelo Alvarez is slated to fight in Cinco de Mayo in May, so they get enough time for them to properly promote that fight after the March Madness and before Canelo's fight on the Zone on Cinco de Mayo in May. So I think April will be the date for Manny Pacquiao's next fight. Now it's going to be an interesting scenario. As you know, the WBC announced about a month ago that Danny Garcia is the mandatory to fight Errol Spence for Errol Spence's WBC title. And Errol Spence also has the IBF title, so both of those titles will be on the line. And Danny Garcia is the mandatory, and that fight was ordered by the WBC at their convention in Cancun, Mexico last month. So I'm assuming that Danny Garcia and Errol fight will take place in that same time frame. I'm thinking maybe they do one of those fights in March. I would probably prefer them not to do that fight in March. But like I said, you got the March Madness going on with the NCAA. That's the biggest tournament. That's the biggest postseason sports outside of the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Gets the highest ratings and most publicity. It's probably the second most viewed, of second most publicized sporting event outside of the Super Bowl. So I just would not advise to have any kind of pay-per-view in the month of March. But if Errol Spence is slated to come back sometime in that same time frame, spring, they might have to do one pay-per-view in March, one pay-per-view in April. If that's the case, maybe they do Manny Pacquiao in March, and Errol Spence does his pay-per-view in April. We'll see how that transpires, man. But again, Manny Pacquiao is slated to fight coming up in the spring. Usually, as you know, last year he fought in January and against Adrian Broner. Then he came back and fought Keith Thurman late on in the spring that same year. It was this year, 2019. And reason why he's not fighting in January this year is he's got senatorial duties, and I think they're going to be in recess around about that time, around about that March, April time. The Senate over there in the Philippines will be in recess, so that'll give Manny Pacquiao proper time to prepare for the fight in March or April. So that's why he's not fighting in January. He's going to be doing senatorial duties, and he's not going to be able to have a fight in January like he did this year. So we'll see what happens, man. That leaves an interesting situation. As you know, January 25th is still a date that Fox is looking to stage a big fight on. Errol Spence won't be available before the January 25th date, as he's still rehabbing, you know, physically and emotionally from that horrific car accident that he had about a couple of months ago. So he won't be available for that date. Danny Garcia, in particular, his dad, Angel Garcia, has stated that they want Danny to fight. That Danny's been on the shelf too long, and they're looking for him to fight early 2020. So maybe he does that date. I doubt it. I think he waits for Errol, because it's just too quick a turnaround to be fighting in January and have to turn around and fight 2 or 3 months later. I don't see that happening. So I see Danny probably waiting for the Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence fight. And whoever don't get the Manny Pacquiao fight is going to be in line to get the Errol Spence fight. Now, I don't think. Let me walk that back. I don't think Mikey. If Danny fights Manny, I don't think Mikey's gonna fight Errol. Let me get me wrong. But if Mikey, who I think is the slight favorite to get the fight, fights Manny Pacquiao in March or April, I think Danny goes ahead and fights Errol Spence for his WBC belt, as he is the mandatory. and then he'll be able to pick up another belt, the IBF, if he wins. So I think that's what the more likely scenario. I think the more likely scenario is Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao fight in March or April, and in that same time, whatever month that they take, the other month will go to Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia. So you're probably looking at 2 pay-per-views, which I would highly advise not to do that, especially putting a pay-per-view in March. But maybe they go ahead and try to put one in March, and try to they have Fox, the big wheel of Fox behind them promoting and stuff like that, and maybe they get some views late at night. But if you got that going against the Sweet 16 game or the Elite 8 game during the month of March, or even those games going on, or the first round or the second round of the March Madness, it's going to hurt their viewership. It's going to hurt their pay-per-view buys going against that March Madness, because a lot of people are going to be tuned in. That's the big tournament. You have a lot of people have tournaments going on in the office pools and stuff like that in the offices, as they have the employees predict the winners all the way down to the Final Four in the championship game, and whoever wins the money. They put up a lot of they pay like $5 a person to play play in that tournament, and it's a big thing going on. I remember when I was working at this job, man, I was a delivery driver at this formal wear company, delivering tuxedos and wedding dresses to different formal wear stores, and we had a big March Madness tournament, man. Had like 200 people in that thing playing, man. Had all the people in the office, all the people in the receiving, all the people in the distribution facilities, and all the drivers and all the dispatchers playing, and it was just a big thing, man. And had like around 200 people playing, man, and the pot was like over 1,000. So we had 1,000 for first place. I think it was $750 for second place, and around $350, $400 for third place, man. It was a big thing going on for the March Madness. And you had people that won that money, man. And that's like, you win $1,000, man. That's good money. You can do some things with that. So that's what I'm saying about the March Madness. It's a huge sporting event. Like I said, it's the second biggest sporting event outside of the Super Bowl, which is obviously the first, the biggest sporting event in sports. So we'll see what happens, man. But January 25th will be interesting. Shawn Porter's out there. Maybe you can maybe get him a fight on January 25th, as they already have one fight lined up. David Benavidez is going against Yildirim. He'll be defending his WBC super middleweight belt in that fight, as Yildirim is the mandatory, as he lost a disputed decision to Anthony Durrell earlier this year. So that'll be a fight. But I don't think that'll be a main event fight. So maybe they will put, if they can't find nothing better, maybe it is a main event fight. But that's a fight that they have slated. But they right now they want that as a co-main, and they're looking for a main event fight. I think it's gonna be hard to get Danny, Mikey, and to fight on those dates. Those guys are holding out for bigger fights with Errol and Manny. So I think maybe you can do maybe a Shawn Porter, Yordenis Ugas rematch. Maybe you do that fight on January 25th, or maybe you do Shawn Porter versus Lipinets. That'll be a good action-packed fight. I think you can put Porter in there, because Porter's been I'm watching some videos of him. He's keeping himself in great shape. Right after the Spence fight, he went right back in the gym, and he's working out, and he's staying in tip-top shape. I think he could be ready for the January 25th date, and he's got a good buzz about him after the Spence performance. So maybe you can put him on the January 25th date. I don't think you can make that a pay-per-view fight. You have to put that on regular Fox. Maybe you do Porter, Ugas, Benavidez, Yildirim, doubleheader, and you put it on Fox January 25th, regular TV, and that could be a good night of fights. That's going to be in the weekend before the Super Bowl. That'll be that next week, the Super Bowl. So they won't have any football on that weekend, and they'll get a lot of publicity if it's promoted right. That'll be a good action-packed fight. Both fights should be very good and very action-packed. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what transpires. But again, Manny Pacquiao slated to come back in April or March. Preferably, in my opinion, it'll be April, against Danny Garcia or Mikey Garcia. I will make Mikey Garcia the slight favorite to get that fight, as I think Danny Garcia ended up fighting Errol Spence around that same time frame, either March or April. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. Holla.